Hey, it's Melissa. Welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. We specialize in raising Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens for top quality poultry production, and we also have egg production hens. This video is perfect for you if you have chickens or plan to have chickens in the future and are interested in sharing fresh produce with your chickens. So stay tuned. This video is a short video on some handy tips and helpful information on sharing fresh produce with chickens. Incidentally, we've tried over and over again to share fresh produce with the flocks of Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens that we've raised, and we've never had any of those Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens take an interest in fresh produce. On the other hand, our egg production hens love it. And there's 3 great reasons to share fresh produce with your chickens. First of all, it's hydrating. Second, it's a great nutritional supplement to their diet. And third, it provides variety in the feedstuffs that they have access to. Being hydrating is probably the #1 reason that I like to share fresh produce with our chickens. With fresh produce, take into consideration things like watermelon and cucumber, very high water content. In other fruits and vegetables such as strawberries, blueberries, zucchini, squash, still good quality water content in those. And when we take also into consideration that most of the produce we want to share with our chickens is in peak production in the hottest months of the year, it's a win-win to give fresh produce to our chickens. It's something that they like to consume, so they'll continue to go back to it. And meanwhile, it's also hydrating them. So it's really a big help to chicken keepers in keeping their flocks well hydrated. As far as nutrition, if we're going to give our chickens snacks or treats or extras in addition to their regular diet, fresh produce is perfect. It's ideal because it's not super processed, it's totally natural, and it takes minimal preparation to take it from the garden to the chicken run. Fresh produce has minerals, vitamins. It also is rich in fiber, antioxidants, and so it's just a great nutritional booster in addition to whatever their regular balanced feed is. And you want to think of fresh produce as a snack or a treat that we give in moderation. So the guide is to make sure that any snacks you're giving your chickens should not exceed 10% of the total feed stuff that they take in a day's time. So you just have to kind of gauge that. And of course that varies depending on how many chickens you have, and you can just give it to them and kind of gauge it. If sometimes you give them a little too much, just next time give them a little less. But it's a great way to use up, like if we have kitchen scraps from produce that instead of tossing them out, and we could put them in a compost pile, but instead we can give them right to the chickens. And some folks even combine kind of a compost spot in their chicken run, and the chickens love that too. As far as the third benefit, variety in their diet. For most chickens, even if they're free range, there's not a lot of variety in what they get to pick from to eat. So it's kind of like the equivalent of, for us, say getting our family and friends together and going to the buffet and having all kinds of variety of food, and maybe even getting to try something interesting and new. Chickens really benefit from a little bit of variety in their diet. It makes them excited. They love to get fresh produce. They love to peck through it, use that pecking behavior, and get the different pieces like little seeds and the flesh from it. So it's just something that they really enjoy. It gives them variety. Now, I do want to give you about 3 tips for kind of having a rule of thumb of good practices to use when sharing fresh produce with chickens. So we're going to take a look at our little household garden beds here, and these were planted just really for some minimal plantings for the things that my household really enjoys eating fresh from the garden. And we wanted them to kind of double as chicken gardens in that we have most of what's planted here are things that our chickens will enjoy too. So if we don't keep up with the produce, we can share it with the chickens. And we have some things in here that we like to share with the chickens for their benefit. So the first tip I want to give you is be prepared to do a little preparation on the food that you want to share with your chickens. So it might be as simple as just cutting it from the vine. And so we have, for example, here I've already cut some out of the garden, but like this is a cucumber that's still perfect for my family. We're gonna, you know, snip that off, wash it, slice it, eat it. But oftentimes the cucumbers get ahead of me and get overripe like this one did. So I could give it to them just like that, but they love it if we put a little preparation into it, like I did with this is one I'm gonna share with them. And I just quartered it. And so what that does is it exposes the softer flesh inside and it exposes the seeds. And so those will be fun for the chickens to peck at. A lot of water content, great vitamins and minerals in cucumbers for them. This is a yellow squash, probably going to share with them. We'll keep this one for household, or could even give it to the chickens and get some smaller ones for us. So that's the first tip. Be prepared to do a little preparation. For example, going to give them this celery. And some of the reasons I like to give them celery is it has a little vitamin K in it. But I'm going to take my clippers when I go into the chicken run, and I'm going to cut that down into just really fine bite-sized pieces and just snip all of that down. Also going to give them basil. That's a great herbs like basil and oregano are a great thing in moderation to give your chickens. Actually can help support the richness of the color of the egg yolk as well as their own immune system. And basil is a great one in chicken runs because it kind of helps repel pests like flies, flying pests. So that's the first tip. Make sure that you're willing to, a little preparation goes a long way for your chickens. Second tip goes along with something I said previously. Think of these things in terms of snacks and treats. You don't want to deter your chickens from eating their regular balanced diet. So only give them about 10% or so equivalent of these snacks and treats. Only about 10% of their total feedstuffs should be snacks and treats. And then the third tip that I want to give goes along with quantity, with how much quantity you're giving your chickens. You want to feed them a quantity of snacks that they will finish consuming, because you don't want to leave a lot of food, a lot of fresh food like this lying around the chicken run or chicken coop. When we put in fresh produce, of course, those are things that are going to decompose. And as they do, some bacteria, some mold may begin growing on that produce. And we don't really want our chickens eating bacteria, eating moldy food. So you can kind of watch that. The other thing that goes along with that is we don't want to be attracting rodents or wild animals into our chicken runs, and particularly we don't want them inside the chicken buildings, the chicken coops. So we want to make sure that any produce we're sharing with our chickens, they're able to finish it up so that it's not laying there attracting rodents. So going to finish just with another couple looks at our fresh eating beds that we share with our chickens, and we appreciate you joining us. Please subscribe. The marigolds are in our garden beds just because we love them as companion plants to help our other plants thrive in the garden. They kind of help keep pests repelled away from the other plants. Pardon me. So we've got them over there too. And actually the tomatoes are in here really just for our own use, as well as the peppers. And those, along with potatoes, are all part of the nightshade family. So you really don't want your chickens eating tomato plants. Most chickens that I know won't eat the leaves and stems. Actually, we have found it is okay to give them just ripe tomatoes, just the tomato itself, but we don't let them have the stems or the leaves from the tomato plants. And there's some celery, there's that basil, it smells delicious. So if you'd like to, if you have tips for sharing produce with chickens, put those down in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Chickens love fresh produce, especially berries, strawberries and blueberries. We love to feed those to them. So thanks again for joining us. Please subscribe to our channel, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry, and we'll see you again in another video. We hope that you have an excellent day.